Okay, part 2 of finding discipline. So I am going through my life, and I'm recognizing this construct of victimhood that I identify with that shadows my whole life with this negativity. And Spirit Guide in part 1 of this is saying that stepping into this consciously, intending to bring light to it, is moving forward in my spiritual journey, and that I am now being invited to be more in my now, because I live much of my life reflecting on the past, wishing things were a certain way for my future, and my freedom from those chains, because they're chains bound by the boring and the old. The now is a place of unlimited possibility, where if I can be present in my mind, in my body, as I go through my life, then my creative source can flow. I can have new ideas. I can explore even the most mundane things in a brand new way. And I've had this thought years ago that even sometimes when you have to reach for one of those high cupboards, like something you don't usually use very often, you tuck it really far away in one of the high cupboards. And I'm kind of short, I'm 5'4", so if I have to get up into those cupboards, I kind of have to either climb up on the counter or get on my tippy toes. And I noticed once where if I stretched my whole body from my fingertips to my toes, like I stretched all the way, my whole leg, my arm extended, my core all lengthened, I was able to gain 3 inches, and I was able to get something in that cupboard. And then I thought, oh my God, this is fun. I'm doing yoga while I'm in the kitchen working. And that example is what's coming to me right now as I consider, because I can see myself in the kitchen. That's where I spend 80% of my day. And I'm seeing myself in the kitchen trying to be in my now, trying to be open to my creative core and let it flow through my thoughts and my words and how I use my body and the decisions that I'm making about food. There is a way to live in a fountain of abundance with thoughts and inspirations that can come from your now consciousness. And learning to live in your now consciousness is how children live. It's how animals are. They don't hang on to things. They learn to in time. But we are as spiritual learners, as children on spiritual journeys. We're learning how to embrace our creativity and our light and our now. And this is super exciting, actually, this idea, because it's tying together my spiritual path with just solving this practical problem. And so I'm really excited to try this out and see where it goes. And I think that there's really not much more I need to say about this. I would like to ask my guides if there is any other advice surrounding this that they have, because I don't feel like it's closing. I feel like there's still, my guides are with me, and my mind, my third eye is really open right now. This doesn't always happen when I channel, but I feel a lot of space. So I'm going to see if this is over or not. So, number 1, remember the gratitude that you are already feeling in your day-to-day. Okay? That's the beginning of your wealth. It's just a few coins, but it's the beginning of your wealth, and you can grow it. Number 2, live in your now. because that is where, see, our thoughts are actually coming from our spirit guides all the time. They're coming from non-physical entities, I should say, because our negative thoughts are also coming from somewhere. And we can strengthen or weaken them consciously by rejecting them or accepting them consciously. And so when you're in your now, it's really about being consciously aware of, bless you, of what thoughts are going on and consciously choosing the highest feeling thoughts, but allowing it to be a process that's very fluid when you're feeling inspired. And lastly, there is this consistency message that in order to be consistent about this, I do need to remind myself of this intention through a routine. Okay, the kids pulled me away for a bit. So I think that the last point I was into is in order to keep this intention unbroken, I need to have a routine. And I've tried this before, but I think if I really, really ask for help from my guides to strengthen my commitment to this routine, that I can use this time, and it's going to be in the morning. I'm going to have to wake up early. That's really the only time it's going to happen where I have time by myself every single day. It's going to have to happen. And I want this to happen because it's like the doorway out of my darkness, really, because that's going to be my opportunity to really, really grow my light quotient, my connection to spirit, my commitment to my goals. It's all going to happen because the foundation of everything is going to be prayer. And I need to have time uninterrupted for prayer. And it doesn't have to be miserable, though. I can give myself some incentive to wake up in the morning and maybe a cup of coffee, maybe get some pastries. Like, it's all good. Like, mix a little bit of sugar with your medicine, right? A little bit of treat with this new habit that I'm forming. And so, and that will come in time. But the point is that I will set my phone alarm to wake me up just like an hour earlier than I usually wake up. And if the kids wake up with me, first of all, try to allow them to self-soothe. See if they'll just go right back to sleep. And then allow that to be. If they don't go back to sleep and they have to stay up with me, just go about the process of sitting on my own for an hour to 2 hours and meditating, reminding myself of my goals and my intentions and my mantras and my affirmations, channeling, build a routine. What it looks like will show up in time as I just wake up early. The goal is, for now, get it started. Start small. Just wake up. Just wake up to have a cup of coffee and sit by myself and wait out the process of letting the kids not wake up with me, because maybe in the beginning they will, but eventually they'll stay asleep if it's early enough. So that is definitely part of making the consistency thing happen, and asking for support from the non-physical realm is going to be what really pulls that in, makes that new routine happen. So I'm just feeling like I should just pray right now. Just be like, dear God, and all of my high frequency, compassionate spirit guides that are out there, please be with me in the morning. Help me to make good decisions at night before I go to bed so that I can wake up early, and help me to have the right thoughts that allow me to follow through with this this morning time that will so serve me, that will fill my bucket and help me to feel like I'm taking care of myself first, and strengthening my intentions to find clarity and to move forward in my life's purpose and whatever that looks like, but to do it consciously and intentionally, and to eventually become every day, and eventually to become this server, this person of service to the world, because I've healed myself, and I can be a clear channel for God's love, and in that abundance that comes flowing out of me in my love and in my thoughts and in my sharing of God's good news with the world, that I will find joy. I will find so much joy that I have never known in any of my ego quests, that my true joy is going to come in being a vessel of abundance, to set an example and to share with the world all the resources that God will flow through me. So I say this prayer, and I know that my guides want this for me. I've been called to do this for years, and I think that I just never asked for help. That's what it was. I was like, strategy this, strategy that. But God has not shown me any success when it comes to my ego. So, message received. I call on God's help, and I know that my true joy will be in being a conduit for God's message and resources and abundance and vision of reality for others, just to be an example. That's it. And that's where joy is, when we shine light on the love that exists in all of our relationships. What could be more pleasurable than that? What could be more interesting, more inspired? That's where life is. And I'm so excited already to put these things into place and be this channel for love, with this foundation of my morning happening, and then extending it into my whole day, just being a constantly inspired person, living a fully human life. And I ask that for God, because I know that's His will for me, and I know that He wants me to show that to anyone else who has this same desire, and they can see from me being someone who just never thought complete healing was possible, that I can be an example of a miracle for others. All of these thoughts are just pouring into me right now. I know that I'm just tapped in to this high frequency, and thank you. And thank you for my new friend who I found, who's boosting my confidence in all this. So I send these blessings out, and namaste.